Hello, everybody. My name is Janae Payne, and I'm excited. Welcome. And our discussion is on recent scholarship. So, the one that I picked was Quaker execution as myth and history. So, we know myth is not true, and the history is the truth. So, it's by Carla Pastina. So, she goes into the subject where the four Quakers were executed, and it's like she went straight into it by detail, and it's unimaginable. So, and the reason she went into it is so that it can get the focus of listeners, readers, and to understand the scholarship. So, the Quakers refused to stay away from Puritan Commonwealth. And with that being said, it was political um, as far as the Commonwealth, and the Puritans was about faith, and the Quakers were about faith. So it was basically against New England, Virginia, basically America, New England, and how the development and discipline would be for society and how it would work um, through any means. And another resource that I found was um, is called Edith or the Quaker's Daughter, one of her descendants, which has similarities as far as the Quakers and the Puritans. So it's a fiction story, but it has truth in it. And so Edith and her family, um, basically, they moved to Boston and they were persecuted for worshiping God, their faith. It tells the story of their heartache. And this was actually written in 1856, which is very interesting. And so, with that being said, these events actually truly happened down the line as far as Quakers. But and the interesting part about this is there is no actual author, but this story is in the history. And then another interesting article that I found was on Richard Nixon, who inevitably was a Quaker as well, his family members. And he was born, of course, in California. And during that time, it was a political stature for him. And so Richard Nixon kept it hidden because of the indoctrination. And so he kept it, the faith, about basically being a Quaker away from his political stature so people wouldn't question him. And that was very unbelievable as well. And lastly, is on an electronic book called Quakers Living in the Lion's Mouth, the Society of Friends in Northern Virginia, 1730 to 1865, where in 1754 was the 7 Years' War, and this took place. So there was a minister called Samuel Fothergill, and he traveled, and he was a Quaker, and he had the faith, and everything was about God. And so his dilemma was he was afraid that other Quakers that traveled would lose his faith because of the Europeans. So he was having doubts on this truth. And so basically, overall, this issue about the Quakers is that it was a disruption, their faith. Um, and it's had similarities as a Puritan. So um, their faith was being disrupted, And it was either by death, a fiction story, um, someone that lived, um, and they were hiding the truth politically, and one that traveled that had the faith. So it's mind boggling and very intellectual to know this history that um, Quakerism uh, was something else. And thank you.